I'm Banarab. My web app is a homemade food delivery web application. The primary goal of my web app is to empower users to explore diverse homemade dishes from different cuisines and talented local chefs. Enjoy the convenience of browsing and ordering homemade meals from home. Skip the cooking hassle and enjoy a homemade meal without spending time in the kitchen. I have used MongoDB, Express.js, React, and Node.js to develop it. I have deployed it on Render for the server side and Netlify for the client side, and I utilized client-side rendering techniques throughout its development. Now, let's get started with showing the functionalities of the website. There are two distinct experiences, one for users who are logged in and another for those who are not logged in yet. First, let's start with when the user is not logged in. When the user enters his French address and starts typing, he will get suggestions. These suggestions are obtained from a third-party API provided by the French government. All the addresses are real-world addresses. After the user writes his address and clicks enter, he will now see the restaurants around his address within a 5 kilometers radius. In every restaurant card, you see the restaurant cover, name, estimated delivery time, rating, category, and the favorite icon. When the user clicks on the restaurant card, the restaurant will open. Here, the user sees the sections of the menu of the selected restaurant. In every section, the user sees the dishes with the name, description, price, and image. After that, the user can order by increasing the number of the dishes he wants to order. For example, the user chooses to buy 2 dishes from this one, and 1 dish from that one, and 1 from another one. Every time I'm clicking, if you notice, the dishes are added here with their quantity between brackets. If the user decreases the number to 0, the dish will be removed from the order summary. In the order summary, the user also sees the total price which he will pay. Now when the user clicks on the order button, the login will pop up. Now the user inputs his credentials and logs in. After that, the user chooses the method of payment. Now the order is confirmed and added to the user's order history, and is shown in the notifications in the navbar. In the notifications, the user sees all his orders in progress with their restaurant's name and the estimated delivery time and a clickable link to review order details. When the user clicks on it, he could see when his order was placed and also the summary with all the details of his order. The user could add the restaurant to his favorite list by clicking on the favorite icon on the top right of the cover. Now by clicking on the sandwich menu bar on the navbar, the user here could check all his orders history, which are sorted by their date and the time of order. And also the user could rate the restaurants if he didn't before or if he wants to change his previous rate. If we return to the main page of the restaurants. Now let's do log out, and start with the second scenario. Let's assume that the user doesn't have an account yet. The user now will create a new account. He needs now to enter all his profile information, from name, address, email, phone number, and the password. All this form is validated on the client side and the server side, and also the email address is unique. And if I clicked on next and the email address is not unique, I will get an error. After fixing that, I'm clicking next. The user should get an email confirmation with the 4 digits. After that, the user confirms his address. After clicking on sign up, this user will be added to the database and it will be directed to the login route. After he logs in, he will see all the restaurants around 5 kilometers of his address, and also in the nav bar, he could see and edit his profile, and also he could delete his account. And if we return to the main page of the restaurants, we see the filters bar. The user could sort the restaurants by rating, delivery time, and also by filter and show only his favorite restaurants. Now because the user he has just created his account, he doesn't have a favorite restaurant. He can now add those restaurants as favorites. And now the user could filter and see his favorite restaurants. He could also filter by category. As you see here, the user has filtered by the category cafe. And also the user could search for his restaurant by its name as we see here. Now let's see how the user adds his homemade restaurant. On the drop-down, click on Add Restaurant. Now the user fills the form. Restaurant name, restaurant phone number, and its category. Then click Next. The restaurant address will be automatically filled by the user's address. The user could create his restaurant with his address or change it. Now the user uploads his restaurant cover. He could adjust his cover. And after that click on Crop. Finally, he clicks on Create Your Restaurant. Once the creation is successful, he will be directed to his restaurant page editor. On the left side of the page. When the user clicks on Add New Menu Section, he will be able to add his menu sections. Let's add 2 sections. After adding the sections, the user could add dishes related to each section by clicking on Add Dish. Now the user fills the form of the dish name, dish description, dish price, and the dish image. After clicking on Add, the dish will be added to its section. Let's try now to add another dish. After finishing all the edits, now the user clicks on Save after completing all edits button. And all the data will be saved into the database. Also, the user could delete a section from the menu section bar by clicking the delete icon next to a section name and confirming the deletion. Next to the restaurant name, if the user clicks on the vertical ellipsis. And more settings. He could edit his restaurant information. And also, he could delete his restaurant account. Lastly, if the user with the role of superadmin is logged in, he will see the dashboard with the charts of the users, restaurants, and orders that have been added for all times. He could click on the input selection and choose between showing the chart of all times, last year, last month, or last week. At the end, thank you for joining us on this journey with our app.